Hello, Stephanie, Sal, Patrick, Sonia, Estelle, Gioacchino, benvenuto, Marina, benvenuta, Anna, benvenuta. Just one more minute. So let me start muting all of you. And I will Nicola, Alessandro, benvenuti. Colin, Lorenzo, benvenuto. Okay, let's get started. So welcome to this webinar where we are presenting the results of MOONLIT. MOONLIT is a project that wants to take profit of a situation which you might be aware of. We have been meeting face-to-face until now, but due to this pandemic, we had to find a different way to meet. And that opened up the doors to something called online meetings. Now, you may be aware that there had been already clubs in Toastmasters who have been meeting online, but this was until now just a small group. Now, all of us have been doing it. And now, sooner or later, we will go back to face-to-face meetings. But I trust that a lot of our clubs might still want to keep open the online participation option. By the way, I have mentioned somewhere in the presentation hybrid meetings. A hybrid meeting is a meeting where online participation is allowed. And hybrid is a word not to use. I've been scolded that it's not a word accepted by Toastmasters. So please substitute anytime I should say hybrid with online participation allowed. My bet is that online participation will be a big part of our future. The new normal might well be a club which meets face-to-face and allows online participation. So, as I mentioned before, I'm very interested in marketing Toastmaster clubs. And I think there is a lot of space for marketing for clubs that allow online participation. And this is why this project was born. The mission of the club was actually to enable the recruiting of new Toastmaster members through a specific marketing activity, thanks mainly to the possibility to participate online. It started as an HPL project, so I looked around to get some results and to create a team to get those results. Now, the results I was aiming at and agreed with the team to reach is two sets of results. A first set is a set of ready-to-use marketing materials, which should be as easy as possible to adapt for the use by different clubs and different districts. And one of the adaptations is translating, because in our district only we have 10 languages, and across the Toastmaster world we have many more. And we thought that being able to adapt those materials would be important, but not only in translating, also sometimes in adapting to the local needs and local culture. The other thing that I was keen in doing was to create an handbook for the promotion, the marketing of clubs allowing online participation. And I think we have collected a lot of good information and guidelines towards this. Now, when I talk about this, I'm also happy to say that this objective is aligned with one of the documents in the Toastmaster International website under awareness, engagement, and participation. You will see that there is a specific section of strategic initiatives, which very well combine with the kind of work that we have been doing. Now I will show you, which you might have already seen, and I used on Facebook to promote this meeting, and I want to give you an idea of what we have developed. Would you like to have ready-to-use marketing plans to promote Toastmasters, complete with pictures, key messages, and text to use on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and other social media? Would you like to have the possibility to modify all the above and suit your own marketing plan? Or would you like to have access to a methodology and tools to develop your own marketing plan? Then join the MOONLIT team on Monday, June the 29th from 8:30 in the evening Central European Time. MOONLIT is a European-wide project mainly aimed at developing tools and resources to market online and hybrid clubs, but also reusably in all kinds of clubs. We look forward to seeing you online. So what we are aiming at is something like this: helping you in creating a Facebook page or a LinkedIn page for your club, where you have a number of posts. But these posts are not simply posts put there at random. They're part of a marketing strategy and a marketing plan, which you will have thought out and planned and executed to attract new members to your club. Now, in order to do this, in order to produce such website and such a marketing campaign, you need to do a number of things. You need to make a situation analysis of your specific situation. You need to define a marketing strategy. You need to decide a marketing mix to use, and you need to produce marketing materials. This means doing a SWOT analysis, an analysis of your competition, an analysis for the marketing strategy of what target groups you would like to address, what key messages you would like to use, what wording you would like to put in your messages, and create a marketing plan. And in order then to put that in action, you to produce pictures and messages. Good news is we did a lot of that work for you. So over the last 3 months, we have worked in producing a situation analysis, a marketing strategy, a marketing mix, and collecting marketing materials, which we trust you will be able to use. We did this focusing on region 10, which is Europe, because we wanted to focus on a culture that was familiar to many of us. And we also focused on English as our common language and the language in which we have produced materials. So this will be available now in English. We hope we can extend it to other languages, and we also hope that somebody will be willing to extend it to other areas. The team, as I said, I didn't do almost anything. What I did was to put together a number of people, and you see them here. Annelise, Barbara, who helped me a lot in designing the idea initially. Cinzia, who is here with us. Elizabeth, who helped us and gave us an outside view. Elena, which I think is with us or will join us later, worked a lot in the initial part in the SWOT analysis, together with Metaxia also. Lillian, who is with us from Cyprus. Paola did an enormous work, which later you will see. Maria Francesca worked a lot on the target groups and the marketing ideas. Metaxia already mentioned. Stefan from Germany helped us in many sessions where we brainstormed on a number of issues. And finally, Virginia, you will hear from her the enormous amount of work she did. Some of us are here tonight, so you will hear them speak. Virginia, Paola, Maria Francesca, and Annelise, together with me, we will try to explain what we did. And in order to explain what we did, we will follow the same process that I had outlined before. So we will talk about situation analysis, defining marketing strategy, deciding a marketing mix, and producing marketing materials. And in order to get started, let me give the floor to Virginia to talk about the SWOT analysis. Virginia, you can unmute yourself. Perfect.
Yes, I am unmuted. And thank you, Francesco. Hello to everyone. I will present to you the strengths and opportunities from our SWOT analysis, because this is the key on which we built the marketing strategy that we are presenting to you today. So these are briefly the strengths and the opportunities that we identified, particularly of online meetings. And we evolved with our analysis as our own experience of Toastmasters was evolving from April until today. So here are briefly, they are all outlined in the document that you will find afterwards, the main strengths that we identified. Eliminating costs, and these are not just financial costs for the meeting, but also eliminating the need of spending a lot of time to go to the meeting, which provides us with the opportunity to go to more meetings in a single week. And then to speed up our educational program whenever we want to do that. Access is much easier now to mentors across borders. Online mentoring is becoming more and more a practice. And during the spring conferences and the contests, it was much easier to find judges outside of division and district. Learning from the best became a great opportunity. I have personally participated in at least 10 meetings with world champions of public speaking, sharing their experience on the journey to become world champions, and in fact sharing very accessible advice for all of us as Toastmasters that we can apply to our daily practices in our own clubs. For those of us, and I see a lot of leaders now here who have to supervise clubs or to support clubs by visiting them, the opportunity to do that becomes much easier. And of course, the global stage, the global outreach, the global speaking opportunities are unbeatable. I personally know a number of Toastmasters that have become members of 3 or 4 different clubs on 3 or 4 different continents during this time. And finally, you see there something which is a tricky teaser, the possibility to hide behind the screen. Is that really a strength of the online meeting? Certainly not for the speaker. So that's why I invite you to put in the chat if you can see even more strengths that we could add to the analysis of our online experience, because we believe that this project, in fact, is just a start and will be evolving as our online experiences are evolving. When we analyze the strengths and the opportunities, we wanted, in fact, to see how to maximize them. So how we could use these strengths to develop new leadership skills, but also to bring further up one of the main advantages of Toastmasters, the opportunity to, in fact, improve our skills by practicing foreign languages, by speaking Spanish to attend clubs in Spain, Latin America, in speaking German in Belgium to attend clubs in Germany, and to expand our language experience. This is in fact the big opportunity to raise Toastmaster awareness, and our project was also connected to the demonstration meetings that were organized in the spring to demonstrate the Toastmaster experience in different languages, in Portuguese, in German, in French, in Spanish, to name just a few. So we expect, and this is the objective now with presenting this marketing material, that there will be an opportunity to attract new members and to steer further the club growth and to create even new clubs where they are needed. In the next slide, I will take you to the fact that we didn't analyze only the strengths and the opportunities, but we also to focus how to maximize them and to focus on identifying what is the unique proposition of Toastmasters. We analyzed the competition of Toastmasters. So we looked at the private and the non-profit initiatives that are there. We saw that some of them connect to Toastmasters in different ways. And the only one, in fact, that is very close to Toastmasters is Agora Speakers International, where there are clubs, where there are activities, very similar to the way the Toastmasters world is organized. But in fact, they don't do online. So in a way, the analysis of the competition showed us that online meetings can be the new competitive edge for Toastmasters International. This is one of the important messages that came out from our analysis. And then from there, we moved on to identify the key target groups, which Maria Francesca will present to you now.
Thank you, Virginia. So I'm linking back to the SWOT analysis and maintaining the same approach, marketing approach. Once understood our strengths and opportunities, the next goal was to define the target audience, where to address our marketing campaign. In this process, we were driven by a twofold aim: the membership development and retention, and the increase of member tenure. As you can see from the flowchart, at first we selected the relevant sources to exploit, and then we narrowed the boundaries of the research, focusing on Toastmaster Region 10, as advised Francesco, and 3 main psychographic identifiers. The analysis showed that the current population in Toastmaster members in Region 10 is in the average age of 47 to 51. This revealed us a generation gap, which allowed us to identify 2 groups able to bridge different generations and to create a safe, evolutive environment. 2 distinct target groups were identified on the basis of the age indicator. As you can see, the millennials in the range 25 to 34 years old, and the Generation X in the range 35 to 44 years old. Next slide. As you can see, for each target group, we defined their unique values, their personal characteristics, and their goals. Each target group was profiled in order to understand the catalyst for joining Toastmaster and the proper Toastmaster value proposition. Next slide. Now we can see the final stage of this process, where we match the target group's interests and needs to the strengths as highlighted in the SWOT analysis and the proper Toastmaster value proposition. Once the target audience was defined, we started brainstorming on how to reach the target audience. Thus, what to say and how to say it. My pleasure, Virginia, to give you back the floor.
Thank you, Maria Francesca. In order to identify how to target each of these core target groups, we went back again to the SWOT analysis and we looked at the strengths which are specific for each of the 2 target groups. So there are some general benefits that Toastmasters is bringing for everyone, because comparing to the competition, Toastmasters is intergenerational. But there are specific benefits that appeal to each of the target. So here I present to you the process that we use to build up the key messages. We started with a specific strength, and then we developed the key messages by presenting how this strength is demonstrated. And what's in it for me approach could give us the opportunity then to expand the short and succinct key messages into more detailed messages that can be used across different media or for specific target groups. I will illustrate now examples of the key messages that you will find in the materials that we developed. On the next slide, you can see 2 examples of key messages that we developed on the visuals, short, succinct, for the 2 specific target groups. So you can see that For the millennials, the style of language is more informal. We focus on the fun and friendly atmosphere, while for the Generation X, we highlight the stimulating environment for personal and professional growth. The language is already different. Then on the next slide, I show how we built up these key messages with different options used, and this is also presented in the materials, across different social media that could be used in the different clubs. So we picked up here one example that is very important for the online or hybrid clubs, especially the opportunity to be present locally, but in fact to connect globally with other Toastmasters in other places. And so here for LinkedIn, we use more the professional terminology. For Twitter, we are more succinct, shorter, brief. For Facebook, we are more descriptive, and there is also an opportunity to adapt to the club itself. There are also opportunities to build these messages and to use them across other social media. The important thing is that the visuals are the carriers of the messages. We all know that a visual, in fact, is multiplying several times the opportunities to hit on a Facebook page, on a Twitter, and on a LinkedIn, and to discover our messages. Later on, Paula will demonstrate to you how the visual side of these messages has been built up. Now, Annelies will go further to the details of mentioning to you how we select the keyword.
Thank you, Virginia. So, yes, you have a little bit of more information about the process that we followed. But choosing the right word, choosing the impactful word is very important. It's not only the picture and the media, but choosing the right word that will resonate to people. So what we did, you can use, of course, as an example, as an inspiration, survey that you have run with members. You can use Moment of Truth that are run regularly within our club, or workshop, for example. Workshop has been a source of inspiration for us. Because I don't know if you attended the conference, the District 91 conference, but there was a workshop in this conference led by Lark Dolly about entitled Fuel the Fires. Very powerful words. And nearly 400 people attended this conference, this particular workshop connected through Zoom. So during this very inspiring and energetic interactive workshop, Lark Dolly asked the audience many questions, and the attendees answered very spontaneously and very generously her question on the theme of Fuel the Fire. I will just give you some information about the meaning of Fuel the Fires for her. So F for focus on the future, U for unique yet unified, sorry. E for educate to empower, L for listen, learn, and lead, F for fun, I for integrity, R for respect, E for excellence, and S for service. So if you want to know more about this workshop, you will be able to connect to the District 91 website and ask the district to buy the recording. It's not very expensive. But let's go back to the topic. So to illustrate this particular topic, just a question. Lark Dolly, probably you all know who she is, but she is the past international president, past president of Toastmasters International. She was the president in 2018, 2019. So, and she has been in Toastmasters since 90. Yeah, so she has a lot of experience. So at some point, she asked questions to the audience about the source, the energy source they are using, about the source of fuel that give us nourishment, sustain and encourage us. And we thought that, because few of us attended this workshop, that it was very inspiring to gather information. So if we go to the next slide, actually, during the workshop, she asked people, as I told you, to answer the question. And we can't say it's brain writing. People were sharing their insight very quickly on the group, on the chat, and bouncing sometime on other people's writing. So it has been collected via the chat. What we did after that, we saved the chat because it was so powerful, so rich as information to exploit. We save the chat and then we clear all the name, of course, anonymity, privacy as well, and started to organize the information by category. For example, regarding the question about what does Toastmasters supply us and replenish us and how Toastmasters sustain us, we gather information on the next slide about self-development platform, peer-to-peer environments with information. It's difficult probably for you to see precisely, but there were lots of interesting answers about self-personal development, confidence, the fact that it's a safe place, friendship, community, encouragement, and so on. But you will have the opportunity to have a look at the full document because it will be made available at the end in a specific folder. So, of course, we focus on the English language, as you know. Now we are probably all going to exploit this information, not all, but many of us, I hope so, and translate the information in our own language. For example, I am a VPPR of a French bilingual club in London, and I really hope that the next VPPR will be able to gather information from that to build on our public relations presence online, because I'm certain it will be very helpful, very inspiring. So I will give back the floor to Francesco to carry on the next stage. Thank you.
Thank you, Annelise. And we have now reached the point where we wanted to create the marketing mix. We had all the ingredients and we wanted to create a marketing plan. So what we did, we created a template, an Excel document, which allowed us to put together a plan. We defined an objective, for example, promoting an hybrid club, a club allowing online participation, a specific target group between the two that we had analyzed, and decided on which channels we wanted to use. In this case, in this example, we wanted to use Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. We decided on a duration of this plan, 3 weeks plus 1 week follow-up, and the intensity. So every third day in the first week, and the second one every second day in the third week. And the rationale, we wanted to start with what, and then move to how key messages. So here you will find day by day the key message that we wanted to use, on which channel it should go, the picture that we wanted to use, what kind of picture it was, the detailed message that would go together with that picture, and a specific call to action that we wanted to link to that specific message. We also referred back to which strength or which opportunity amongst the one that we had analyzed we wanted to have. And this document is the basis for us to create a marketing plan. So what I'm actually foreseeing is that you will start maybe with one of the plans that we have, and then you will create of your own marketing plan based on the materials that we have developed so far. But now let's move on to the last part of our work, which is actually developing the pictures and the messages. And this is a very important part. And to explain to us what we did in this part, we have Paola. Paola, over to you.
Thank you, Francesco, and hello, everyone. I'll start by telling you that I am a VPPR like many of you on this call tonight. I've served as a VPPR last year in my club, and I am embarking on the same role again this year. My experience comes from many years of managing my own social media presence for my retail stores. So you can say that I developed knowledge not only by reading marketing best practices and guidelines, but through actual doing in a perfect Toastmaster spirit. My role in this project is to bring to life all the research and the data that you just heard about, and show you the process through which you can follow, use the material and implement it in your own PR journey. I originally created 8 posts that were published to the MOONLIT Project, Facebook page that you just saw earlier. To create these posts, I used marketing plan, the keywords and the key messages that our team has prepared as an example promotion for a meeting with online attendance targeted to a group aged 25 to 34. The posts I created are what I consider call to action posts, because they are designed using a mixture of key messages and pictures that target a specific audience and they all contain a call to action, like learn more at the website, come visit our club, or sign up as a free guest. Call to action posts work quite well when they're part of a strategy that includes alternating them with posts that provide content, which means they are posts that are informative and useful, so your audience can continue coming back for more. What are example content posts? They are blog articles, podcasts, even videos that connect with your strategy and support it. You can easily find high quality content on the Toastmasters International website, especially through the online magazine. There are other channels through which you can gather high quality information to share, and they are the RSS feeds. But for the purpose of this webinar, we will be concentrating on the call to action posts only. If you're interested in learning more about building a social media strategy, please write your name in the chat box. We might think about it over the summer and prepare a Learn by Doing webinar when the Toastmasters seasons resumes. So just write your name if you want to participate. Okay, when we consider standing out on social media, we're faced by a fact. Competition for readers' attention is fierce. Over 100,000 posts are published daily on Facebook alone. The only way we can stop our readers from scrolling is by grabbing their attention. During our webinar, we covered the importance of using the right key messages to attract a certain target audience. I would now like to introduce the second part of the equation, pictures. To demonstrate how our brain is wired and how it processes the information, we will now take a little test. I will give you a little test. I will show you an image with a question. You will have 3 seconds to respond, and then I will ask you to write your question in the chat box. Please answer very quickly without giving it too much thought. It does not measure intelligence at all. It only measures spontaneous reaction, and that is all that really matters to us in this project. Francesco, can you put on the slide of the test, which is the one before this one, please? Okay, so now you look at this and you please, within 3 seconds, I'm gonna count now, answer it. 3, 2, 1. Okay, change the slide. All right, I see that there are no robots here tonight. We're all people, because that's how our brains really work. It means that most of us, or all of us, saw the triangle image first. In the left column, the words described a triangle, pretty much like you would read in a geometry book. That text, of course, would take a lot longer than 3 seconds for our brain to process. Next slide. Next slide, Francesco, please. As we can see from this quick test, our brains are wired to interpret the visuals around us at a very rapid speed. Our brain can interpret images from the eye in 13 milliseconds, and it can process visual information 60,000 times faster than it can process text. We're actually wired to interpret images over text. Pictures are also emotionally charged, and they speak a universal language. Images communicate. They make us curious. It's true that a picture is worth 1,000 words. So not only do pictures say a lot, but they also have a huge impact on how the text that accompanies them is interpreted. So it is very important that we use the right image to support the main points we make in our slogans and in the content. An image is also very powerful in talking to the right audience. Okay, take a look at the Facebook covers on the next page. Next page, please. They come in pairs. For each row, the template used and the text overlays remain exactly the same. Only the pictures were changed. Do you get the difference in feeling? Let's take the middle row as an example. The key message is find like-minded people. If you landed on a Facebook page with a cover like the one on the left-hand side of the middle row, and you knew nothing about the content of that page, and I asked you to guess what the interests and values of that page might be, what would you say? Of course you don't know, but the picture provides a context from which, based on your own experience, you might be able to take an educated guess or have a first impression and possibly even make up an opinion about it. Now, if you move to the picture next to it, to its side, the graphics are the same and the same text overlay, and yet I am sure that your guess about the content of that page would be quite different. Pictures are powerful, so they need to be used with purpose. Okay, very briefly, we'll go over with the next slide. Well, I wanted to also say that pictures can be found and they need to be royalty free, which means that are free to use and modify without permission or payment. Toastmasters International has a whole library of pictures. Plus, there are many websites that have literally tens of thousands high quality royalty-free images that can be downloaded. You can search these databases by keyword, image, color, or size. So with a little practice, it is very easy to find the right image for your posts. Okay, did you know that Toastmasters International has a branded color palette. That's the one that you see on your screen. You can find it in the brand manuals under resources on the international website. Each color precisely, and they can be used with all software. On their website, Toastmasters says, in our communication with Toastmasters brand position and illustrating and strength. No other colors can be used. That means that any solid back you choose in your post should be taken from the brand's palette, this palette here. You cannot do, say, an old, nor can you change Toastmasters logos in a, next slide. When you plan your strategy, you might want to also choose the colors you're going to use. Because our Moonlit Facebook page with a millennial target, I chose burgundy and gray because the overall feel of this color combination to me is rather modern, urban, and sleek. It transmits the idea of young and cool. Another very good combination is the one that you see underneath, which is burgundy and blue, while gray and yellow would be used for accents. I would use it for a more mature or classic target group. Yet, of course, it is always a matter of personal choice, and all of the branded palette colors actually really go very well with one another. So even when you mix them, you can be sure to achieve a pleasant result. Let's now see more in detail how to work with graphics and how to build a post using some of the instruments we're providing you with this research. Next slide. Okay, did you ever hear about Canva? Canva is an online graphic design tool with very easy to use features and functionalities. So anyone really can create a variety of engaging content. And best of all, it has a quite comprehensive free plan. The word free as a VPR is very important to us because most of our clubs do not have budget to invest in tools for the VPRs. And the free version of Canva has usable features that can cover all of a club's graphic needs. It is definitely user-friendly with drag and drop functionalities, and I can guarantee you that with minimum training, anyone can produce great-looking material. In my opinion, one of the most important features of this platform is that it takes the guesswork out of building social media material, because you can choose from thousands of templates perfectly fitting the different social platform requirements. So there will be no need to wonder about sizes and pixels, which is very difficult usually. Canva takes care of all the sizing automatically for you. Next slide. Okay, so you can upload images and logos in Canva to work within the Toastmaster brand guidelines. For those of you who are new to the VPR role, you can find usable branded material and logos on the TMI website. As we just saw in the previous slides, we have a color palette to work with, and in Canva, colors can be chosen with a specific code, so we can be compliant. The free version allows us to set up to 3 brand colors, so that makes it easy to choose the right ones. When your project is ready, you can download it in your computer, or even better, in my opinion, upload it to your Google Drive, so you can easily share it with others. Google Drive is connected with the calendar planner Hootsuite, which we're going to see in a moment. So your images can be posted directly from Drive. Although it might sound complicated, it is very easy and very intuitive. However, if you're not going to use a social media calendar, you can still post your finished projects directly from Canva. And finally, you can work with a team. You can set up a team that you can share your projects with. You can set authorization so your team can visualize only, or can actually work with the projects together with you. Next slide, please. Okay, going from template to finished project really only takes a few minutes if you have previously defined 3 things: your target audience, your key message or slogan, and the picture that you're going to use. As we already saw, this choice should not be improvised, but rather be part of a strategic plan towards a goal. So let's make an example here. Let's say we want to convey the message that in Toastmasters, we are guided through a learning experience, which is called Pathways. We learn by actually doing things, and the club and the whole organization help us on our path through the guidance of our leaders. We're not alone, but rather we are part of a group that moves along together, supporting one another. Now, that is a complex concept, don't you think? How can we convey it into an easy-to-read graphic representation? Of course, there could be many interpretations, and all of them would be perfectly fitting. The one I chose to show here is, of course, my own version. What I would like to point to is the process that you might want to follow to use our material. Okay, so the process is this. I asked myself, which key message is the most fitting to exemplify that large concept? I looked at our Excel database of key messages, and I chose 2. I chose learn by doing and build trust and community. So these will be my slogans. Text on an image should be kept, in fact, to a minimum, and it should assist in conveying the whole idea or concept. After that, the picture is important. So which picture, even without any text, could convey the ideas of gaining experience through doing things, being guided by a leader, or trust within a group? The choice here is, of course, personal. However, it should be a representation that speaks a universal language. I used one of the free images websites and searched for the keyword mountaineering, because to me, that activity could be a fitting metaphor for a concept of following a path, team leader, trust, and community. I like this one in particular, which you see on your screen, because the blue colors in the picture would fit perfectly with the Toastmasters brand blue, and the red of the outfits, to me, was very appealing and matched the Pathways logo colors. Once I had all these choices made, putting it all together through Canva only really took me 3 minutes. All right, so after you have a whole set of new posts ready, either in your computer or in your Google Drive, it is time to move to the next useful tool, a social media content planner. Next slide. So what is a content planner? It is basically a calendar where posts can be scheduled for automatic posting. Here we see Hootsuite, one of the most used platforms for social media management, but of course there are also many others. One of the benefits of using a social media calendar is the ability to visualize our social content strategy over a period of time, maybe a week, a month, or even more, and stay organized across all social channels. In fact, as VPRs, we might need to manage more than one channel. In my Verona club, besides having a website, we also have Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. We're also planning on getting started maybe on YouTube next year. Of course, I have a fantastic team that works with me at my club. They do a lot of great work. But since we all help each other out, I still, I give them a hand by looking at the calendar, and because I like to have visibility about what happens on our social channels. Did we get a message through Facebook? Let me tell you, we get many messages through Facebook. And sometimes it is easy to miss one or two. So from my dashboard, I can check if all messages have been already answered. At the same time, on the same page, I can check if we got a mention. What is a mention? Basically, it's when someone tags you on a social network. Maybe a guest posted on our social tag in our club. Should we know about it? What did she say? No matter where in the world that mention was made, we can see it right on the dashboard and we can respond. Oftentimes, mentions are positive. I would say most of the times. Yet some of them may be negative. Say perhaps a guest who attended your meeting last night tagged you, saying the meeting was really boring or maybe confusing. Should you just ignore it or take the time to write a positive and supportive response? Responding to messages and mention is extremely important to establish relationships and trust with the public. Next slide, please. When it comes to posting, it is fundamental to have a strategy rather than posting what comes to mind in a pinch. This brings me to point out one aspect that is necessary for seeing success in social media, and that is consistency. I know I've been doing that before, and sometimes I still do it. We took on the responsibility for public relations in our club, or maybe even in our district. We're all excited to let the world know, aren't we? So we start off posting on Facebook just about as often as something new comes to mind. But then the weeks go by, our busy lives take their tolls, and we start posting less and less. Probably only when time permits. This is, of course, very understandable. We're not professionals, yet it represents a pain point that hinders success in social media. That's why a content planner is very useful, because it allows us to create and schedule posts well in advance, following a strategy, and the content that we have prepared will get posted automatically while we go on living our lives. With consistency that comes from this process, our page becomes a reliable source of information for followers, and that also helps in creating trust. When people trust our page, they are more likely to leave a comment, a like, and share our posts. All of these actions are called engagement. People who feel engaged tend to generate word-of-mouth referrals. And ultimately, that is what brings new guests to our meetings. Let's have a look at what a calendar looks like. You have one in front of you, and this is a real calendar, it's mine. You can see I have 3 social networks registered under my profile. Happily, Hootsuite allows free accounts too, but they are restricted to 3 social networks. Here you see my Moonlit page, the one I have specifically made for this project, my Verona Home Club page, and I'm also club sponsor of the Rimini Riviera Prospect, and I take care of their Facebook page as well. Scheduling is quite straightforward. You just hover with your mouse over the date and time you want to post to be published, and just click New Post. The Post Composer will open, and you can either upload material you already prepared, or you can make a post in the Hootsuite editor. Hootsuite as its own editor. It is a pretty good one, although less powerful than Canva. It is good for what I call everyday posts, by which I mean posts that convey information about what is happening at the club, for instance, and can therefore be more spontaneous than the strategic posts we saw earlier. Once scheduled, you can just walk away and forget about it. The calendar will take care of the posting at the exact date and time you've chosen. It's very easy and very straightforward. It's now time to have a look at the evolution of our Moonlit project and Francesco will take the virtual stage from here. I thank you all for your attention. If you have questions, please write them in the chat and we will answer them at the end of the presentation. Back to you, Francesco.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Paola, and thanks to all the speakers so far who demonstrated the work that we put together. Now, all that you have seen and a lot more details will be available starting from July 1st. So next Wednesday, I need 1 day to finish the polishing work and put everything available on a toastmasterseurope.org website under Moonlit Project. So if you go there, you will see an empty page at the moment, but as soon as we have loaded things, which will be done during tomorrow, you will find all the things that we mentioned. And maybe I can give you a sneak preview of what we have available. Let me see if I can manage to do that. So let's go on our Drive and let me show you, for example, things like the SWOT analysis. You will see a document like this with all the details about strengths, weaknesses, opportunity, and threats that we have identified. And you can look over on them and maybe adapt them to your specific club. So remember all the work that we have done. I would strongly advise that you look at it and personalize it to your own needs, to your district needs or to your club needs or to whatever organization level you want to look at. Another thing that you will find is a detailed analysis of the targets. So for example, for the millennials, you will see a clear and very precise definition of the target group. And you will both find detailed text and also some slides for those of you who are more visual and don't want to read too long documents. Something which I think will be very interesting for you to look at are our key messages. This is an Excel file which lists all the strengths that we have identified, and for each strength, the key messages that we have defined in connection with that strength or with that opportunity. And in fact, in red, our wonderful Cinzia highlighted those key messages which we think are specifically good for online attendance. So those are the ones that we strongly suggest use. But of course, you can pick from the others. And depending on which strength or which opportunity you want to underline, then you can choose the proper keyword, the proper key message. Now, talking about messages, we also have a list of vocabulary, which Annelise talked about. And this document lists from the webinar that she presented about, and by the different questions, what words were used. So the more plus there are, the more this word was used. And our suggestion is when you craft your own messages, look at this vocabulary and choose the words which resonate most with Toastmasters or soon to be Toastmasters. The marketing plan, I showed you a template and you will find the Excel template here with some examples. And I invite you to use this Actually create your own. So start from the strength that you want to underline, look up the key message and write it here, and then decide how you want to plan, which channel you want to use, and what call to action you want to make. And then look at the repository that Paula has put together of pictures, or adapt them in order to create the supporting material you need for your marketing plan. Now let me go back here because there is something more coming up. We are continuing some of our work and the production of additional materials. But what I would love to see happen at this point is that you are going to start using those materials. And I hope you will be ready and willing to share back some of the material you create. Maybe share back the marketing plan that you have devised for your own club so someone can get an inspiration from it. Or maybe a specific marketing plan to promote an event like an open house, a demo meeting. Or maybe you are willing to translate some of our material. I've been told by Paula that Gioacchino has already volunteered to translate our key messages in Italian. And I hope we can get others to do the same for other languages. So we already have some material in other languages. Another thing that we would like to see is ongoing feedback. As Toastmasters, we always want to know how we are doing, and knowing what works best, what works less is important. Can you do that? You will see in our repository, we have created comments for each one of our pictures. Those comments are used for two reasons. In one side, we are using them to put in detail the detailed message that we use to post that particular picture on Facebook, on LinkedIn, or on other media. But we would also like to get comments from you, alternative texts that you suggest, or ideas to make those texts even more powerful. And finally, as Paula suggested, we are happy to do more presentations of the work that we have done, and also to create 2 more webinars, one on developing your own club, area, division, district marketing plan, putting together the tools that we have developed, and another one on using Canva and Outsuite. Now I've seen in the chat that Cayetan Barreto has already run some Canva workshops, which you can look for, or maybe I can't remember if it was Roberto who mentioned them. Maybe you can put them in the chat here, and we can share more of our experience with those who are interested. So we would welcome you to get in contact with us to help you with your marketing efforts. Now, I think we can move on to the question and answer session. And to kick it off, I have seen one question which was interesting in my eyes, asked by Uta, who was asking if it still makes sense to have a website for a club. And somebody told her, well, a website is not that important. It is important maybe just as a business card to provide some institutional information about the club, like maybe the meeting place, phone number of officers, and so on. And in fact, you might already know that you have that even in EasySpeak. So if I log in EasySpeak, you know that all our clubs actually have a public homepage. Let me show you the homepage of one of my clubs if I manage to make it come up. So this is the homepage of Toastmaster Roma. And this is a page which is accessible even by people who are not logged on. And it has some basic information about Toastmaster Roma. So we have in Toastmaster Roma, we also have a website, but you could use this as a basic page to provide the information. The good part of doing this in EasySpeak is that it gets automatically updated and can tell you when the next meeting is, and maybe even give the agenda for the next meeting directly. But maybe it's interesting to hear also other opinions on what could be a good solution for a website. And in the meantime, if you have other questions about what we have shown so far, if you would put them in the chat, we will be happy to take them. So can I ask someone of my speakers to help me with other questions?
Yes, I received a question privately, and I don't find it now, but basically, I think what the person was asking me is if we target young age groups like the 24 to 35, but then don't we think they might be disappointed once they come to our meetings, since the average age is not that young? So that is an interesting question. Well, I can only give my experience in this. Our club is a club that has all kinds of ages. We go from 18 years old, who just joined a couple of months ago, to 78 years old of our founder. And there's all the ages in between. But actually what we're trying to do here with these key messages and with the images is try to attract the new people that would like to be in clubs that have online attendance, because we feel that that would be the future also for Toastmasters and also for us as Toastmasters, because it can allow us to stay connected with the world like we're doing here tonight. It's wonderful, isn't it? And so, yeah, I think that it depends on the clubs. Some clubs might have a higher age average. Other clubs might be younger. I've heard that in London, there are clubs who are very young. So that would depend.
One thing, I see a comment from Joaquino saying it is important to have a website. I think we have to look at these things from a specific club point of view, because the culture of your club, the kind of people you attract might be quite different. And this is why my suggestion is, of course, you will find some of our work ready to use, and you can simply take it and start creating your marketing plan or use one of ours. But my strong suggestion is personalize it and discuss within the club, with your ExCom, overall the PR strategy, which of course includes website. You want to have it, you want to post things on the website, and the promotion and the marketing strategy that you're putting together, deciding which social media you want to use and which target groups you want to tackle. We have chosen 2 target groups because we had to limit our work. We didn't have enough time to address all of them. So we decided on 2 which we thought were promising in terms of attracting people. We could have analyzed 18 to 24. That's another age range which is very underrepresented in Toastmasters. But that we thought might be a bit more difficult for us. But we would welcome someone else who would like to extend the analysis in other areas. And even within the targets that we have looked at, then put that into the situation of your club, because you might want to decide you only want to target one group, or you want to target both of them, or you want to target 3 of them. Remember, you will probably need a specific strategy for each group, because each group is sensible to different things and sometimes even to different channels. So we've tried to give you as much indications as possible in a generic European point of view. If you're bringing this to other regions outside of Europe, consider the difference you might have. If you're focusing on a club, consider the specificity of the club. A question to those many of you who have said I'm interested in participating in further webinars. It would be nice if you could all put down your email so that we know how to reach out to you in order to create a mailing list that we can use to disseminate further information. And as I said, we will be putting all the information on the website, and I'm going to maybe reshare my screen so that you see the email address and the website to stay in touch with the project team. More questions or more answers from the other people in my team?
What I want to add, I'm very glad to see that now we already have volunteers who offered their support to translate the information in Spanish, in Portuguese, in German, and in French. So thank you very much to all of you. We will connect with you immediately after the webinar to see how we can build up on that.
Great. I must say, one of the things that really surprised me in a very good way in running this HPL was the amount of work and the professionality of the people that I managed to involve in the team. I was really surprised that they were willing to put in so much work and so much time. And this is something which is incredible of Toastmasters. It's a bunch of people who are incredibly willing to share their knowledge and to do something. In fact, there was a question at a certain point, I think it was from Elena, if we had submitted this under any Creative Commons license. My personal wish, and I haven't discussed this yet with the team, so maybe we'll discuss it in our last review meeting, is that this material is as widely used as possible. So I'm happy if it gets stolen in any good way and reused as much as possible. We'll discuss with the team if we want to use one of the Creative Commons formats. I'm not so much interested in the fact that we get cited as the originators of some of this work, but more in the fact that it gets used. Now, of course, I think the team who did the work, because I just put things together, might be happy to be recognized for the work they did. Me, I'm happy if it gets used as much as possible. Another thing that Elena mentioned was the social media summit online. I think she also put a link to it. So if you're interested in developing this further, I think it's something to look at. And personally, I would be interested in understanding if some of you have experience with funnels. You know, those mechanisms which collect people interest and bring them down to becoming guests and then even members in the club, which in the end is something that we are all interested, because the more we can get in new people, the more we get fresh bloods, fresh impressions, fresh feedback, and our clubs grow. So I would be interested in if some of you have professional or experience in this field. I would like to talk with some of you. Still have 10 minutes for more questions or more comments. Do we have any other question, Paula, which we haven't taken on? You're muted, Paula.
Well, if there are questions, maybe they should be posted again, because there have been so many messages that I cannot keep track of the questions.
Elena is saying that she has a question with Toastmasters Europe. Elena, would you like to take the word and to specify the question?
Yeah, so if I have a question, if that was allowed to be used for Toastmasters Europe, because we are confronted now with headquarters saying that we don't have the right to use on a website the name of the country and Toastmasters. So just for reference.
I must say it's all my fault, because I had started toastmastereurope.org last year when I was district director as a means to share links to the district website across Europe in Region 10. But I did that without caring too much to ask permissions around.
I mean, not to find the fault, but just to know, because in this case is the Netherlands, and I have followed the same for my division to promote Toastmasters Belgium, and it has worked pretty well. In 1 year, we got 1,000 people following and a lot of guests, so it works. So now if they are going to come back saying that we cannot do that, neither for Facebook or for web, it would be interesting to talk among everybody, because as a strategy, it works for promoting our clubs and our recruiting new members. So
I can tell you in District 109, we created Toastmaster domain at country level. So toastmaster.it, toastmaster.gr, and so on. And at that time, last year, we didn't have a lot of issues, but I would look into this and maybe share back the experience. And in the worst case, we will create another domain to share something like TMPR, hoping that they are not unhappy with us using the acronym TM. I think sometimes we have to somehow push on Toastmasters. One of the interesting things which happened, I think, Elena, you were there when we had a couple of our meetings were attended by John Larkin, who is head of marketing in Toastmasters. And he was very helpful, provided us with information, with some material, shared some of their experience. So I hope and think that Toastmaster headquarters is interested in the work that we have been doing and is willing to promote it even further. My wish is to create something which is usable. The material on the Toastmaster International website for marketing is really good, but sometimes it's not so easy to modify it. When I try to translate into Italian, it took quite an effort. What I would love to have is something like we have now with the materials mainly designed by Paolo, which is very easy to modify and adapt, and has a lot of work behind in order to keep a common look and why it should be done in a certain way. So that kind of work, I think, is interesting. And I hope Toastmaster would take this to a further step. But I think sometimes you have to take the lead and do things and then bring them to the attention of headquarters and ask them, can you boil this up and make it even better? I'm sure you have maybe even more resources and more experience than we have. And mind you, all the work that we have done might be put in discussion. You might want to say, no, it is not good that you have selected those target groups. We should have selected other groups. Feel free to go and analyze again things in a different way and discuss with us. And let's keep an open forum for discussion on how we can better promote Toastmasters. I'm happy to participate in any discussion. I'm very keen on developing videos on Toastmasters, and I can show a little bit of what I've been doing in the past few years about this. I think it's a powerful media. What I really think is that it's not enough to make single posts. You have to have a strategy. And what I think we've done in this project is developing a set of tools to create a strategy, which I think is really important in promoting and marketing Toastmaster in the best possible way. I've been doing too much talking, not used to that. That's a Toastmaster. Karina, you have your hand up because you want to say something, or just because it was, okay. Sonia, you're waving. I don't know if it is goodbye or what. Feel free to, oh.
There is after whatever.
And I don't know how you say it in English. I couldn't find the right, yeah. Oh, you're okay.
Yes, because I immediately embellished it. Okay, the cult will last 4 hours. 4 sessions, and this you have.
Sorry, I'll remute you, but feel free to unmute yourself or write in the chat if you have issues with that.
Oh, I see a question. I read it for everybody. Hi, does the project include strategies to conduct and handle mixed online physical meetings? It was mentioned in the first slide.
Yes. When I defined the scope of the project, I told the team I would not want to go into the technicalities of running hybrid meetings, because I think this is a whole project on its own. I've seen some webinars, and maybe in the web page that we are creating, I will link the ones that I've seen, because I think they have a lot of good information. But the best information would come from those who are doing it. So if you would like to share your experience, if you are already doing hybrid or meetings that allow online participation, and what is the best way to do them, that would be, I think, very interesting. But it's, let's say, outside of the scope of this project.
Okay, we have another question. It says, from your analysis, do you see the opportunity or risk that it is needed a parallel organization Like, for instance, Toastmaster Junior to reach younger ages?
It might not only be a parallel organization, it might be an organization which is a bit different in the way it operates. But maybe, Maria Francesca, you're also a Rotarian, and actually you've been involved in some activities cross Toastmaster and Rotary. And I know that Rotary has a separate organization for younger people. What do you think that model could be brought to Toastmasters?
They are not a separate organization. It is still a Rotary International running a project specific for young youth. So we have Interact, Rotaract, and then Rotary clubs. But this is still run by Rotary International. So special programs, as I understood, there should be also for Toastmasters youth, the gavel.
Yeah, there are gavel clubs which can be set up for younger people. There is the youth leadership program that can be done to attract younger students. And there are other initiatives I've seen, for example, in Portugal, something called Toastmaster Mini, aimed specifically at young Toastmasters. There are a different target group. They need to be connected in different ways. And maybe some of the things that we do might be done in a different way in order to reach out to that group.
For sure. As per my opinion, and I join also what Paula was sharing as a personal experience in her club, the best is having a mixture. So starting very young and then growing together with the club. And this makes the club live forever. And so if well balanced, even the youngest 18, 20s can perfectly feel engaged and committed inside a club where there are older people. So the perfect mixture works.
I can see here a message from Michael Bayer, who is sharing that in District 64, there will be targeting of university students, and you are willing to share with us your results. We are looking forward to that. Something that we did in my club in Brussels, because Brussels is the capital of the European institutions, and there are every 6 months young people who are coming as trainees. We had a big group of guests to our club. They picked up the spirit, and then they organized, with our help, a session to inform their colleagues who are trainees in the European Parliament about what Toastmasters is about. So it cannot be only in the club itself. It can happen outside of the club environment as far as we can provide support.
Well, it's about time that we close. We had foreseen to go until 10 o'clock. I would like to, first of all, thank the team that supported this effort. You ladies, was mainly a group of ladies, were incredibly patient with me and incredibly good in the work that you provided. I wish that this work gets used as much as possible. And I hope that you can all give us feedback on the work we've done. The one thing, my last wish is use the online opportunity. I think it opens up an incredible multiplier for our possibilities in Toastmasters. So go out, market it, use it, and let's make Toastmaster even stronger than it has been thanks to this new opportunity. Thank you very much and have a wonderful rest of the evening. Thank you. And thanks for all the comments you have written on the chat. I'm not closing just to read all the beautiful messages on the chat.
Francesco, we're not missing, I mean, we're not losing all those messages, are we?
No, no, we are.
I'm saving the chat.
They're saved.
Can be saved, right?
I also saved it because we have the people who have expressed interest to continue with the other webinars.
Absolutely.
And will actually give us for translation. Antonio also offered proofreading in English.
Yes, please count on me for French. I may not be a native speaker, but I can do the first.
I know it, Marina.
Super, Marina.
Perfetto.
Posso dire una parola?
Sì, prego.
Bellissimo, mi è piaciuto questo webinar.
Concordo. Veramente spettacolare, spettacolari, signori e signore.
Grazie.
Anche se dovrei aggiungere che per me non è una cosa, lo faccio anche un po' per lavoro, quindi. Però c'è sempre da imparare, quindi non è...
Gioacchino, ma proprio perché lo fai per lavoro, dacci feedback, dici come lo possiamo migliorare, perché sono sicuro che...
Ma ci sono, io adesso purtroppo non parlando bene l'inglese, anzi non parlandolo proprio quasi, ci sono anche diversi strumenti, ad esempio per le piattaforme di condivisione, visto che Paola ha parlato di HotSuite, c'è anche PostSpeaker che ha un suo calendario simile, diciamo, a HotSuite. Il sito web, abbiamo detto che è importante perché secondo me bisogna partire dal sito web e da lì comunicare sui vari social partendo, diciamo, dai contenuti del sito web. Questo è il mio parere, poi posso sempre sbagliarmi. Altro, piattaforme per la fotografia, per le immagini, c'è crello.com che è molto simile. Poi c'è anche Adobe Shark, mi pare che si chiama, però non mi ricordo il link, è un'applicazione che sui telefoni. Il sito web, ecco, una cosa che bisogna ricordarsi anche della GDPR, nel caso. Altro non mi viene in mente, c'è Adobe Shark mi sembra che sia, dovrebbe essere...
What is Adobe Shark?
Aspetta, che...
I think it's a platform for images or a place where you can...
Adobe...
Spark, Adobe.
E poi ce ne sono talmente
Adobe
tante
Spark.
che
Okay.
forse l'ho disinstallata.
Link a Adobe Spark.
Qui sull'applicazione c'è scritto Spark Post.
Ah, Ilaria se met à parler italien aussi.
I can see that it is transforming visual stories, yes? Creating visual stories. Dark.
Vabbè, poi diciamo che quella più veloce è Canva per realizzare un po' le immagini. C'è da considerare, avevo detto a Paola, che ad esempio l'immagine di copertina di Facebook ha delle misure, ci sono dei trucchetti per far visualizzare la copertina su tutti i tipi di dispositivi. Bisogna aggiungere dei pixel top e bottom, adesso non mi ricordo la quantità esatta, comunque ci sono dei siti con tutte le varie misure che bisogna avere per Facebook e gli altri social.
Mettendo sulla chat e traducendo quello che...
Adesso provo a vedere se mi ricordo dov'è il... Se lo trovo, dovrebbe essere, forse ce l'ho. No, non è questo. Ho dei preferiti che fanno invidia. Allora, aspetta, che sto guardando. No, non riesco a trovarlo. Comunque ci sono delle misure, appena lo trovo eventualmente ve lo... No, ce l'ha anche Paola. Paola me l'ha dato, c'è anche lì, ho visto che c'era anche le misure per quanto riguarda la copertina per essere visibili anche sui dispositivi mobili. Tra l'altro io l'ho fatta, sto aggiornando un po' i social del Club dei Navigli e ho iniziato ad aggiornare la copertina di Facebook. Oggi ho aggiornato quella di LinkedIn, di Twitter, di Instagram, che però vabbè bisogna vedere un po' il tutto, perché sto ricevendo adesso il passaggio delle consegne, quindi non ho ancora esplorato tutto il mondo social disponibile.
I think LinkedIn can be a very interesting tool. A few years ago, I tried to create a LinkedIn Italy group, and under that, a number of specific groups for each club. And I would be, again, interested in talking with somebody who has specific experience in marketing in LinkedIn to see what is the best strategy. Is it better to have separate groups? Is it better to have hierarchic groups by country or by whatever? That's an interesting thing. And another interesting thing came up talking with Maria Francesca a couple of days in the car about, do you have a strategy when you create a new club? Do you actually decide to target a specific group, especially when you open up a club in an area where there are other clubs? Do you actually focus on something and try to go for that specific something? Do you make an analysis to see what is not covered by other clubs in the area? That might be an interesting way to do club growth, much more focused, which I had not. I've been club growth director for my district a couple of years ago, and I'd never thought of doing this in such a very specific way. So trying to concentrate on a specific group or a group with a specific objective. But that's a very interesting approach, which could well be connected with what we have done. And another subject which to me looks interesting is how much do purely online clubs exist in a different area, and why Toastmaster does not connect them to a district, because at the moment online clubs are undistricted, so they're not specifically a part. Bye bye Roberto.
Ho trovato il trucchetto per la copertina di Facebook.
Ok, ce lo puoi magari mettere qualcosa nella chat.
Posso condividere lo schermo? Lo faccio vedere al volo?
Vai.
Non so se condivide. Ah no, sono disabilitato. Comunque metto il link, dai, che facciamo prima.
Allora, lo puoi fare adesso.
Sì? Vai. Ok.
Where are you from, Ilaria, in Italy?
Ecco, praticamente lo standard è 820 x 315. Io normalmente uso le misure raddoppiate, quindi diventa 1656 x 630, ma in realtà cosa succede? Che quando si va a vedere sul mobile, sul telefonino praticamente, viene tagliata la parte questa blu. Quindi il trucco è questo, di fare l'immagine un pochino più alta cercando di centrare in questa zona. Le misure praticamente diventano 828 x 861 raddoppiate, quindi 1656 x 800 per 952, no, sì. È praticamente, tanto per avere un'idea, questa si vede bene sia con la versione standard di Facebook, la versione nuova, perché c'è anche il nuovo Facebook, che si vede tutta l'immagine, e dal telefonino, adesso non riesco a condividerlo, però se lo guardate andando su Facebook Navigli da telefonino dovreste vedere che si vede bene anche sul telefono.
So you have one last tip for tonight on making Facebook banners, which are good for any.
Stoppo la share. Ok.
Okay, I don't want to keep you here, otherwise we'll be here all night. Thank you very much again, and specifically incredible thanks to Virginia, Maria Francesca, and Liz, and Paula, who has had to go, for the incredible job you've done. We'll be in touch to do one wrap-up meeting, and then to decide to plan the rest, because
of course
we need to guide them on how to help. Guys, thank you very much.
Thank you for the opportunity, Francesco.
My pleasure.
Grazie, grazie ancora. Buona serata a tutti.
A voi.
Ciao.
Bonne soirée à tout le monde.
Buona serata.
Yeah.